back.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, that's good. Countdown was done. I think I didn't cut it off at the right time. But hey, everybody, Jews. This is episode 34 of One of a Kind with RVD. I mean, do I have to say it again? But I mean, guess who's here?
Who's here?
Who's here? It's RVD and it's Barbie. Barbie, how about that?
Oh, look how cute she is. She's not very photogenic because the black face doesn't show up in photos very good. But
it could be. How old is Barbie now?
She's 3.
That's it. Wow.
Oh, Barbie, you showed up. Man, that song was kicking. Katie's in the other room, and she said the same thing.
Oh, how about that? Well, credit to VBDC Venus Beach. He's a big fan. He reached out to me. He's been a fan of the super chat too, and so very supportive and everything. So he did it all. He did an instrumental version too, so I can send you both files. But yeah, we're gonna try to use that for our countdown and our outro music.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't realize. Wasn't really paying that much attention to the lyrics until I heard One of a Kind, and then tuned in, and it was like, oh shit, this shit was written for me.
Yeah, he did it specifically for you. So he made the offer. I was like, heck yeah, let's give it a whirl. So
yeah, that was rocking. I can listen to that. That made me feel like I was in Jamaica relaxing.
Right. A little good vibe having it there.
On a catamaran with the High Times magazine crew.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
Well, how was your New Year's and AKA Katie's birthday?
It was good. It was good. Yeah, I feel like I talked to you since then, but I guess
we texted, but we didn't talk about it.
I guess that was Christmas Eve. Yeah. Same stuff. It all runs together. But good though. Good. We ended up not traveling anywhere, which Katie always goes and sees her family for the holidays and her nieces and nephews and sisters and parents and everybody. So her staying home this time was kind of like a big deal for her to be away from the family. But I remember when I was like 20 and that happened to me when I went down to Tampa. In 90, or was it? It was in 91, so I was 20. Yeah, right before my 21st birthday, and that was going to be the first time I was away from my parents, and first time really. And I was like, like emotional about it. And Rod Slinker was like, well, let me get a hold of Pat Tanaka, see if he's got a frequent flyer miles and stuff, because he was working for WWE, and
yeah.
And anyway. I remember all the other wrestlers said, well, that's part of the business. A lot of times you'll find, you're on the road and working when other people are doing holidays. And, this business isn't for you if you can't handle it. And I ended up, I don't know who. Oh, I do know who paid. It was the girl that I was seeing at the time paid to fly me there. And then when I was there, another girl from Deja Vu paid me in another way.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, Rob, when you first moved down to Tampa, who did you kind of really bond with over wrestling wise? Like when it came to did you make a pretty good connection starting off and form a friendship that kind of gave you incentive to stay a little bit more and not be as homesick a little bit, maybe?
I guess I had the drive to get me through most of that, and except for when guys are giving me a hard time or something for being a young prima donna and it making me second guess all my life decisions up till that point, that would happen. But when I first got down there, I was living with in the house with Ron Slinker, who was the promoter, but also Tex Slassinger, Dennis Knight, who was Midian, same guy, because that was Ron's son-in-law. He was dating or married to Dennis's wife, and so I feel like he was part of that era. But also, as far as going to the wrestling schools and training and going to the gyms with the guys and bonding in that way, like you tend to do. It was Jim Steele who had, I guess he's done now, but he had a career for a while. He was Jim Roach, also Jungle Jim Steele. In All Japan, he was maybe called Thunder Wolf or something, some kind of a wolf. But he was in WCW. He was Jungle Jim Steele. And I got him in the Super Fights movie with me, so he's in that too. And he was a big, jacked up bodybuilder dude and really nice guy, Jim Steele. And also Kenny Kendall, who, same thing, he had a little career on TV for a minute, and then he was kind of out of the business too. But these guys, seems like me, we were all like kind of like just starting out, had been working a year or two and trying to build our name and listen to the right advice and all that. So those guys were down there, and on the veteran side was like Pat Tanaka, Jimmy Backlund, the Wrecking Crew, but that was before they were the Wrecking Crew. Al Green and Mark Laurinaitis, Johnny's brother.
Oh,
they were a big part of that. Like I wrestled them a lot of times, and they were a little more experienced than me, so they tried to. It felt like they were trying to hold me down, humble me at that time. And there was Mark Starr, who I've done an RVDology about before, and there was Lightning Foot Jerry Flynn, who I wrestled quite a bit. Not Jerry Lynn, but this dude had really stiff kicks, heavy boots, and I used to feel like, wow, just because I'm a martial artist, I think this would be a good matchup. I hate working with this guy, but not always. And he was a nice guy. It's just that he was like so stiff. He wrestled for a Japan company where they just beat the shit out of each other, and that was the way I was learning. So I guess those would be enough names to mention for now.
Well, that's funny. Like Jerry Flynn, I remember him when I was watching WCW, like in the late '90s and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. He's one of the enhancement guys that they would trot out there and stuff like that. But yeah, he was known for his kicks. How about that? So.
Stiff kicks.
Well, that's good. Yeah, Midian, we had him on Road Dogg, last year at some point, and he's a character, man. Like he was very funny. It's like one of our most popular episodes. And then like he's a big dude too, like deceptively big dude. So.
So I met him in 91 in USWA.
Wow.
When I was working for the Jarretts, and that's where I met him. And his stepdad had come up to Memphis from Tampa to check him out, I guess, and maybe do a little business or whatever. And that's where Ron Slinker saw me and said, "Hey, you're going to be world champion. Here's my number. Give me a call. I'm opening up territory in Florida." So,
overall, how'd you like the territory, the Ron Slinker territory, and everything? Was it? Do you think it was just a good, like, kind of baptism by fire kind of aspect of it all, or?
What do you mean?
Like, just kind of as for a learning experience, like a first start kind of thing. Was Tampa? Do you feel it was a pretty good area for you to kind of get your start in?
I do think so, because I guess, now there's a lot of areas, but back then it wasn't as easy to find wrestling schools or training camps, or even to get inside the business, back then. So yeah, we wrestled at the world famous Tampa Sportatorium that Eddie Graham used to run, and had a lot of history with it. That was cool. But there was some drama as far as the actual promotion goes itself, and I've talked a little bit about that in public forums. I don't know how much though, but I had to grow up pretty quick. Let me tell you that. Like I ran into some stuff I didn't understand at that age, and ended up talking to some other adults about what was going on, looking for advice, thereby opening up my mouth about what's going on inside a house and getting reprimanded for that, for spreading someone else's privacy, which I did, but I had the best interest I felt like there was a dangerous situation. And anyway, that's always going to encompass a lot of my feelings about that time and about Ron Slinker.
Yeah. So if you have those outside elements kind of coming into play too, that definitely would play a factor in how you feel about it.
He would have flashbacks like he was in the war and be running around, diving into the couch, freaking me out when I'm the only one home with him. And I'm just, about to be 21 years old and just really not that experienced. I didn't grow up in New York City. I grew up in fucking Battle Creek. So I was still a kid till I was in my 40s, like I always say. But at that point, this was something I was not prepared for. I hadn't seen drug use to recognize it and didn't know what the fuck was going on, but thought at some points that either somebody else or myself might die. So that was pretty intense.
Yeah. Ooh, that's definitely baptism by fire when it comes to that thing. Like, geez, oh man. Well, how about USWA working with the Jarretts and stuff like that? Your like relationship with Jerry early on and Double J, Jeff, if you had some interactions.
Yeah, so it's because we were the Sheik's boys, we had a lot of leverage. We were looked at with respect because the Sheik trained us and the Sheik booked us down there with Jerry Lawler. So they gave us a pretty good shot to get in and show what we could do, which we did. We were very green, especially me and Dango, because this is the summer of '91, and if I remember right, I've been wrestling about a year and had about 12 matches before I went to USWA. So very green, had a lot to learn, but obviously showed enough talent to impress some people. One thing that really sticks out, it was so old school there, and since it was the last surviving territory, all the people that frequented these shows were still old school. And so Kayfabe was still the ruling factor of the business. And I traveled with 3 heels when it was Sabu and Dango and Judge Dredd. It would be 3 heels. Sometimes either Dango or Judge Dredd wouldn't be there, but because when we would do a loop, we'd go back home every time, and then sometimes not the full crew would make it back. But it only lasted like 5 weeks or so before they ran out of stuff for us, as they put it. But traveling with the heels, it was bad because I was just a young kid, not even old enough to drink. And when we would go to the restaurant, I would have to try to sit not by them. But I had to learn that, Sheik taught us, but we still didn't know how practical it was. Some of the stuff you listen to and you say, oh, sure, sure, it's illegal. You have to stop when you're leaving a parking lot and use your turn signal before you enter a roadway from a parking lot. Who the fuck does that? You say, oh, sure, yeah, okay. But anyway, people would recognize us. Then I would feel like, fuck, like we're hurting the business down here. And Sabu would say, that's called killing the business. That's what we're doing. Like, fuck. And I remember one time, so they would drop me off a couple blocks before the arena, and then I would walk the rest of the way at towns where you had to go by the people, which were some of them. Evansville, Indiana was like that. One time in Evansville, we were out in the yard of the arena somewhere playing Frisbee. I was throwing it. Sabu was throwing it. I'm not sure who else, but Jerry Jarrett said, Rob, you're a baby. And that became like a big inside joke still to this day. Sabu will pop at that because we thought it was funny, but I was being scolded, obviously, for being a baby face and working with heels when they're trying to make money off of this fucking angle and us working together. So I learned, early on what is like the standard for the business now, which is just to kill it, fuck it, you know, expose it, make it less than it was. Nowadays, the business isn't about kayfabe anymore. Is the point that I'm trying to make, but it was back then. So you got to kind of put yourself in that perspective and that state of mind to appreciate me being reprimanded by the promoter when I'm just 20 years old and being a dumbass.
Well, when it comes to that kind of thing, like, you know, like kind of like not keeping it kayfabe anymore, do you kind of wish? I know the old school mentality kind of would be like, yeah, I wish that would be still a part of the business. Do you think it would work today? And if everybody adhered to that kind of mentality for the most part, do you think it could still work in today's realm of wrestling and how accessible it is?
Not the same way. I don't. You know, it's been exposed so long ago, and now that we have MMA, we have something to compare it to, and because of those reasons and just evolution, people evolving, fans. We could never go back in time, and we couldn't still be passing off the same agenda necessarily, but there is still a lot of hidden kayfabe where the fans think they know stuff, but they really don't. Without getting into any too much detail here, let's just say somebody's reputation came in question recently in the media and the news. How many people were shocked about it? How many people really weren't? That kind of stuff. There's a lot of know-how that people just really don't know. And for that, I'm glad. You know, when it comes to old school kayfabe, I just wish people could be in the mindset when they were in the ring, you know, because they're not, and it takes away from it. It takes away from the moment. It takes away from the misdirection, which takes away from people involving their emotion into it. So it's changed, and I think change is probably necessary, you know. So, so it is what it is, but you know, nowadays the talent, the athleticism, whatever that the wrestlers are showing with all of their high spots and stuff, they miss like the little thing, like misdirection. Like, you know, like I want someone to think that I'm actually going to get here. So I wait till the very, very last second, boom, and then just fucking move out of the way. That's exciting, you know?
Yeah.
And you lose that when you're not even thinking that you're in the moment of competition, but instead like you're going through the motions of something that you've already completely visualized all the way through, or has been directed towards you, or however you got that action sequence. It's different now because of the lack of kayfabe.
Well, something too I really keep in mind now when I go back and watch your matches, like before, you know, once we talk about them or before we talk about them, is like the little things that you would do and how you would kind of react to things. And even that match where you and Kane were tagging against LOD, like it was that last minute. You waited till the very last minute to duck Hawk's Doomsday device. And like I had to actually go back and watch it because I was like, was that a botch? Did Hawk like fall too soon or something like that?
But it's not as exciting when everyone's playing it too safe, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So the whole agenda is off because for them, it's more important about getting those spots in and over than it is about, you know, the whole vibe of the match, the competition, what it was. So we weren't allowed to get those spots and set them up and stuff back with the Day of the Sheik. We could only get in and put in what we were able to sneak in. You know what I mean? So, you know, and I've always used this as an example. If I'm going to give you a leg drop or I'm going to jump up and do a 360 and then hit you with a leg drop, you don't need to know. Your part is you're getting leg dropped across your throat or your chest or your face. And then, but that's the way that I got brought up. You know, there was never during my training, I could never say, I'm going to set you on the top rope. I'm going to walk over here and grab a table. He'd say, well, what are you doing on the top rope? Get off. Get the fuck off of it. Why are you waiting for him? You know, that's the way that I would have had to be quick enough or else it doesn't work.
Right. and I think that's a great way to put how kayfabe can kind of still hold together. Is if you're in the venue in your match and you're on, like, you come out there, that's when you should kind of adhere to kayfabe. And so much of that does get lost. It's like if I was on stage doing a play and I had some lines to deliver or something like that, and then like somebody else is delivering lines, and I kind of like break character just by my body language, people are going to notice that,
Yeah. So a side effect of me being the way that I am is that because I'm so committed, I hurt people out of the ring a lot. Because, when I'm showing them what to do, I'm committed with it. And I can think of so many examples, but I actually got kicked out of the Wild dressing room. Wasn't really invited there anymore. Katie was having a match with the girl's name is Barbie, I can't remember her last name right now. Really nice girl. And anyway, her and Katie were feeling each other out in the dressing room, and they wanted to see Katie didn't really know or whatever the deal was, but Katie was going to have her foot on the back of Barbie's leg, and you know how they raise the leg up and bam, and you stomp their knee into the ground. Yeah. And I just went to show Katie how to do that, and not even thinking while I'm talking to her, I'm just like, boom, get it, boom, like put it up high as boom, high as you can, wham. And when I did it, she actually had to go to the hospital afterwards, and like it was like she was myself for a little while. She still had the match. But I actually caused a little damage. I felt so bad, but that's how I am when I'm in the ring training or practicing with anybody. I'm just so committed to, and I feel it so much that I'm all in and end up, hurting a lot of people.
Is that Barbie Hayden? Is that her name?
Yes, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Sweet girl.
Yeah.
Sweet Barbie. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like you said though, like you were trained a certain way too, and we talked about it last week. You and Sheik was just really committed, and you guys laying it in and being stiff and making it look real. So, I mean, that's
if I'm just if I'm showing how to do a clothesline, if I feel it, it's boom, you go, bam, fucking drive through there, and I'm gonna show you, what I want to see or what I'm visualizing, and it's gonna be snug because my wrestling is snug. But yeah, I don't turn it off as much whenever I'm walking through something. My walk is a bit of a speed walk or a shuffle. Maybe not quite a sprint, but it's at least my walk is a jog.
A light jog, something in between.
Something like that. Yeah.
Well, funny we talk about this because we talked about Bret Hart a couple of weeks ago, and a comment somebody made is, I understand RVD being humble, but you talking about Bret Hart, you were concerned about like how Bret would maybe feel about it.
I remember.
And he said, I understand RVD being humble, but he literally wrestled like the young Shawn Michaels, just more acrobatic. Bret could definitely work with that. Somebody else also said that like Bret was also like Kevin Nash, and I think a couple other people said like Bret could work stiff too. So maybe you guys would pretty mesh up pretty well,
I have no question that Bret was, he's the best there was, best there ever will be, best there is, all that. So not necessarily in that order, but I'm sure, he would have a great match with a broomstick, as they say. So I really don't question that. But yeah, just like I said before, I'm a little snug, and I hope I wouldn't disappoint him, but it would be an honor.
I don't think you would, because you know what? Like Kurt Angle keeps saying how much he loved working with you too, and they always talk about that dream match, Kurt Angle versus Bret Hart. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think he'd be all right.
Let's book it.
Okay, let's book it. Okay, we got it marked down.
I'll take the book.
We got a super chat here. You to Super Friday. Super Friday, what a name to have on Thursday. Rob, whatever happened to predictability? The Milkman, the Paperboy, the Evening TV. You've just been full housed. So he just did the Full House theme song to us. I've never got Full House. I got Rickrolled, but never.
You got what?
I've got Rickrolled. You know that? When that happens, the Never Gonna Give You Up.
Okay.
That's being Rickrolled.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Just got Full Housed.
Yeah.
I say that was a fine $5 there, Super Friday. Thank you for that.
Appreciate that. Yeah. So what are those twins doing now? Because they were looking cute, right?
Oh, the Olsen twins.
Are they billionaires?
Oh, I think they're definitely loaded. You know what I mean? Mary Kate and Ashley. I don't know what they're doing though.
What's that from, baby?
Kanye West song.
Oh. I didn't know that was about them till just now.
Yeah, no, I actually forgot about them too, and I forgot they were twins. So, but
not me, man. I had my eye on them.
Happy birthday, Katie! Belated.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We got over 100 people here on the live chat. So, guys,
cool.
if you want to
happy Thursday, everyone.
Yeah, happy Thursday. If you guys want to weigh in, feel free to use the super chat, ask a question, and we'll be sure to get to it. That's the name of the game here. And but yeah, we got some stuff to talk about today. Rob, did you happen to hear that Samoa Joe is the new AEW World Champion?
No, that's so funny. I read somewhere that he got fired, and then I read or heard that he was the Ring of Honor champion, and now I'm hearing that he's the AEW champion. So that's pretty funny. I guess my earlier news bits were probably mistaken, or did all of that happen?
Well, kind of in a way, because he got released from WWE, and then he came to AEW.
Not this week, right? He's been at AEW.
Oh,
right?
yeah, he's been at AEW. So, and he's been there for, I think, well over a year at this point. And then he won the ROH television title there.
I saw him when I was there.
Right?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, did you? Okay. And then and then just this past, I guess it was Saturday, that he won the world title against MJF, choked him out.
You can see footage of me and Samoa Joe rolling on the mat, shoot style on our old RVD TV episode.
Oh, really?
The link right here, Chris, YouTube, Chris.
We'll throw it up there. I'll put it up.
Training at LA Boxing. I shot a few episodes there training with my old friend Justin McCauley, and through him, I met Samoa Joe like way back in the day. And Samoa Joe had a lot of training when I was just learning, like having my first few jujitsu fucking sessions or whatever. And so since he was a big guy, he was hard to, can't really push and throw him around and shit. But also, I was also strong as fuck. So we had some really good workouts together. And I'll always remember that. I've known Samoa for, I don't know, a long time. I guess 90, I don't even know, 99-ish.
Wow. Okay. That is, yeah. Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
What, he also saved you from a potential hot dog demise.
Yes, he did. He saved my life.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe just in case someone doesn't know what we're talking about, at USW or fucking Impact in Orlando at the Universal Studios, I was walking towards him. We're about to pass each other one time and just nodding. And I was eating my hot dog from catering and ensued on to choke, started, which I used to do all the time. I don't know why. It's something that's still, it wouldn't be the strangest thing if I did it now, but it's not something I do every day. But I used to always choke. I'd eat too fast. Even on my own spit, like sometimes my spit goes down my throat, the trachea instead of the esophagus, and I start coughing for seemingly no reason. And I always say, I'm going to drown on my own spit someday, and no one's ever going to be able to figure it out. But anyway, at this time, I was choking on a hot dog, and I was walking by, and Joe was like, it got pretty dramatic. He was like, do you need help? And I was like, sure, come on over. And he picked me up and he was giving me the Heimlich, and I was still coughing, and it kind of like broke free in my throat, and he still had me up, and I had the hot dog in my hand. I just started like biting it while he's not even saying it was. He was like, put the hot dog down. So that'll probably be one of those inside jokes between me and Samoa Joe forever. Put the hot dog down.
Still my favorite story you've told on here yet.
And Chris Masters one time in a similar situation was like, do you need the Heimlich maneuver? And I was like, and I was calling him over because I had dry swallowed a bunch of pills with no water, and it got stuck. Wow. But when I took him up on his offer, he backed out. He's like, I'm making. I was like, yeah, and then he was like, what happened? He's like, wait, I don't.
He can't talk.
Yeah, serious. I need you to sign this release form first. I need to, yeah. Have you had any legal drugs in the last 36 hours? He wasn't there for me. I had to actually frog splash the back of a piece of furniture, so that the back of the chair hit me in my gut, and I shot a pill across the room. Boom. Damn. I don't know why I used to do that all the fucking time. It was like a habit. Like every day it was just something but that's in my blood. Like when I do something, I do it all the time, and I never learn. And I'm not bragging. I'm sharing how stupid I am. But I got that from my dad, because he used to do that all the time too.
Well, and he gave you a hard time because of spilling the orange juice.
Every morning. There's a great example. I would do that every morning. Yep. Yeah.
Last week you spilled the champagne.
Oh my God. I spilled so many drinks last week. So, but we had a camper that we would camp at, and there was a bunk bed, and the couch would be under the bunk bed. My dad would sit on the couch to drink coffee in the morning, and when he would stand up, he would nail his head on the bunk bed, and he would do it all the time. And it was funny because my mom would then, be like, honey, stop, you're going to wake him or whatever. One time Dango was with me, we, staying the weekend there, and I told him, I warned him, like, it's going to be great. Dad's going to bang his head in the morning. My mom's going to be yelling at him and stuff. And sure enough, wham, son of a bitch. He'd sit down and rub his head, and he'd stand up and do it again. Bam. That's what I got to work with. That's my Polish power blood.
The Polish prince. There it is right there.
Yeah.
It's in the bloodline.
Made a little song. I would tell Dango, my dad will get up and make lots of noise, and my mom will say, be quiet or you'll wake the boys.
Style, baby.
Man, laying it down.
I'm making fun of him.
That's cool. Well, Rick Hard. Ooh, what a name. Rick Hard says, hello from New Hampshire. Hope you had a good day. Thanks for the $2, Rick. Appreciate it.
Right on, man.
Yeah,
I did have a good day. It was productive. I had some things on the list. I actually went to the post office, which I only do once every 2 months at the most, So when people say, hey, ask me for favors, man, I got a great friend. If you could send him a picture, his little needing the world to his little boy, he's been having whatever. Whenever I agree to do something, I always got to say, but don't hurry.
Yeah.
I don't have a service like that, but I know people tell me you can just somehow you can get them to come and pick it up at your door or something. I don't know. I have been told that with I don't know if that's FedEx, UPS, whatever the fuck. I don't know.
I don't know either.
There's a post office that's literally a stone's throw away from here. So it's not that, but that's just one of those things. So same. Anyway, I did some adulting like that today. That was productive, and some other stuff too. So I had a good day. Thank you for the $2 and the wishes, but it was productive. I got a lot of stuff on the plate. You know what I mean? Especially after having some holidays and stuff, and then it's business days. And being my own boss, I always have the opportunity to say, I don't feel like doing this today.
I'm not going to do that.
Maybe tomorrow will be better.
You know what? Future Rob might do that, but not present day Rob.
I do that an awful lot. So when I get shit done, it's
yeah, right. I do. I'm a king of procrastination too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get to it. I got this stuff I got to work out financially. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But then when you knock it out, it's boom, W.
Yeah, you feel good about
W.
You ultimately feel good about it.
Get that shit off my plate.
Speaking of getting off your plate, this Smiley Gamer, we chimed in last week. Did it feel good to slap the bully Taz? Hey, Smiley, we actually already talked about this on a previous episode. I believe it's episode 5 or 6. So check it out. Rob gives full detail about that whole incident. And
episode 5 or 6, check it out. Yeah, but to give you a quick answer, I would say both yes and no. You know, like felt good because it was like a big buildup that was like boom, like let out. It was purposeful. You know, I meant for the slap to push us past the line that we couldn't go back and backtrack. You know, I wanted us to be engaged in the actual activity of a fight. And so like, boom, I'm like, okay, good. You know, we got that done. But, you know, at the same time, it's, you know, the on the other side, you know, the fact that I just smacked Taz and, you know, as much as angry as I was at him, you know, I still don't know for sure what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So there's like that unsurety that isn't a real good feeling, you know. Just anger kind of like overrides that and tells me that I do know what's going to happen, but obviously nobody could for sure. So, you know, at the time, yes. Later on, after we actually didn't fight, I pushed us over the line a couple times and thought we couldn't backtrack and get out of there without some damage being done. And fortunately, we were able to. So that surprised me. And when we did, you know, Taz shared some stuff with me and we bonded in such a way that it didn't feel good at all that I smacked him. I felt bad.
Yeah. That was the other aspect is he had like personal issues he was dealing with, and you guys hashed it out in a certain way, and just made there's always that kind of feeling like, oh, I want to do this, and like when you have that conflict and like want to just get it settled and get this fucking solved, but then there's also that after effect and that kind of feeling like, oh God, going through it's not fun either. So, but yeah, thanks for the chime in there, Smiley. Somebody else, I don't know what denomination this is. Do you know what that is, Rob? The little backwards C with the line. What is that?
I believe that's a pound or a euro.
Oh, euro. I think you're right. It's a euro. You're right. So the question he asked with that was, "Hi RVD, what's your favorite 2 video games of all time?" You've talked about video games before.
That's a pretty good question. I'm gonna have to go back because I used to play video games a lot more growing up. So I'm going to think about something that I really had a lot of fun with and spent a lot of time. And 2 games, I'm going to say, and if nobody else jumps in front of them real quick, no one's going to jump. All right. Speaking of jump, Moon Patrol and maybe Dig Dug.
Ooh, Dig Dug's a good one. What'd you feel about Tetris?
It was fun. I didn't play it a lot, so it wasn't one of the games that I got. I would always spend one whole summer on one game and master it, although I didn't master Dig Dug. But what was the other one? Oh, Moon Patrol. You know, I would go all the way A to Z and then be halfway through the second alphabet, so that was pretty far. And Matt Mania was one time, and Kung Shanghai, I think one was called Shanghai Fighter or something like that. Bionic Commando, that was one I would get to the end on. There was like 5 stages, and I got to where I'd get to the end on 1 quarter. And I would spend me and Dango both, because we were so competitive, we would get one game and we would just play it all summer until we master it. And everybody would hate when we were playing because they'd have to wait in line and we'd be playing for 45 minutes off a quarter.
No shit, you'd be that good at it.
Yeah. Always. I mean, there's games we get to the end of. Shinobi was one of them.
I remember that. Hearing that about
we
that
get
game.
To the very fucking end of Shinobi, the game would end.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
And then there's a sequel to Shinobi, but I don't think it's not called Shinobi 2. It's called something different. It's got a wolf. I can't remember.
What? How into the fighting games did you get? Like the Mortal Kombat stuff? I know that was a little later on and anything. Like that.
Not as much. I didn't get into pretty much. I could handle 1 joystick and like 2 buttons. You know, once you got past that, you kind of, you know, I played Virtual Fighter.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But for me, that was as far as I could go. That was like that was a little bit past what I just told you, so I can't remember because sometimes you have to go like down twice and then hit A and B together or something, do a leg sweep, and so that's the newest game probably that I got into, which of course was forever ago.
It's like 25 years ago.
Yeah, and that's probably the most recent video game I think.
You're right though. Like the Sega Genesis, they had like 6 buttons plus the directional pad and all that. It's like, well, that's a lot. That's a lot to take in.
Yeah, not for me.
I know. I grew up starting with Nintendo, so I had like Super Mario Brothers and Battletoads and like Double Dragon and shit like that. So,
I like Double Dragon.
Yeah, Double Dragon was fun.
I like the Atari games like Joust and Kangaroo.
Yeah.
I like Kaboom a lot. Activision games.
Yeah, the Activision.
But at the arcade, like Bionic Commando and like I said, the Shinobi, both of those, we would get to the end where the game just stops. Like, okay, you made it, you win, and we got there so often that we would try to collect points along the way to beat our own high score. You know, knowing that we're going to get there in the end and wanting to not pass up any chance to get any points along the way, whatever it took. So I did spend, that was a big part of my childhood. I spent a lot of time enjoying that.
Video games are fun too. You grew up like right before I did when it came to the video game generation, but it was a kind of a cool balance because they were simple and you still did it. We went outside and did shit. There's so many times where like video games are so immersive nowadays. So it's like, that's a big part of people's lives.
Yeah, and also I would ride my bike to a place to play the video games, you know, and that was the big adventure, whether it was a bowling alley or Pete's Pinball Fun Factory, there was M66 bowling, there was Ken Naki's bowling, and there was even like a little store, I can't remember what the highway was, but or what we played, that was Dig Dug, I guess, but Super Pac-Man was one that I used to play too. That would be something, you know, now you could just play at home, and we used to have to ride like maybe, I don't know, at least maybe like sometimes it would be 5 or 10 miles. Sometimes we'd ride all the way to Lakeview Square Mall to play games in their arcade, you know, and we pretty much seemed to know Battle Creek was small enough to have an idea of what games were in every game holding location.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah, I know. Going to like an arcade was like an experience. It was like that. You had to go there, and it was just like this. Basically, like a Toys R Us, just with video games all over.
Yeah. Fun times.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Some fun times coming up. It seems for Nic Nemeth, who is now a free agent. And
do you remember the Dragon's Lair?
I remember Dragon's Lair. I don't think I've ever played it though.
Okay, it was groundbreaking because it actually looked like a cartoon, and instead of you moving the joystick and somebody moving directly that quick, you move once and it would play like a whole scene out, and you had this adventure through it, and it looked like a Disney cartoon, and I think it was called a laser disc game, which was the first of its kind.
Yeah. I'm looking right now. Dragon's Lair came out. 1983 was the first release.
Wow.
Holy smoke, how about that?
Game changer, literally.
Wow. Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right, Rob. It used Laserdisc technology, offering greater, superior graphics compared to other video games at the time.
Yeah, nothing had been done like that before. All of a sudden, instead of being like little block characters, it was like an actual cartoon, and then you would use your direction and tell it what to do, and then let it go. And then it would, boom, it would do its scenes. Sometimes it would have its own scenes in between, like when you enter a room or something, it would play like a little bit before you have another option of which direction to go. It's really cool.
Wow. No,
it's really cool, man.
It stands out, dude. It stands out. It's like, it's like almost like a Disney looking kind of effect to it or vibe. Yeah. That's pretty sweet.
I never got good at that one, but it was cool.
Right. Some of this, I try to play modern games today. I'm like ass backwards. I feel like an old man. Like I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. Shooting at a wall here. Yeah. So Dolph Ziggler showed up at New Japan. Yeah. So he made it Wrestle Kingdom 18. He's going by a new nickname moniker. I wish I remembered what it was. It's a pretty cool one though. But yeah, what do you think of like Dolph as a worker and your experience with him?
I think Dolph's a great worker and Dolph's a great guy too. You know, like when I met him, he was one of the group that was the Spirit Squad. They were cheerleaders, and that was in WWE in 2001, 2, 3 ish in those years. And if you hadn't seen them, what they would do, they all dressed like cheerleaders, and they would have a trampoline, and they'd run down and bounce off the trampoline and dive through or over the ropes as their entrance. So it was pretty cool, but they would get their asses handed to them a lot. I think they were more just entertaining, and I think Dolph kind of broke out from there. I wrestled the Spirit Squad one time, I remember, and I used their trampoline because I'm RVD, so I thought that was cool. That's like someone else picking up Thor's hammer, like right. the Hulk, because he can. But they gave me, they did something where everyone has a limb and they throw you like way up in the air, I guess like cheerleaders do, you know. But they did that for a finish. But they were entertaining. I think they might possibly have had a little bit of heat backstage for maybe for letting their rise go to their head a little bit. It seems like, I could be wrong, I can't remember anything really specifically, but they were like new guys that were getting a lot of attention, and that usually draws heat with the veterans, especially guys that had to work really long and hard for it. Especially with the guys that had to work long and hard for it and still don't get it. You know, they don't like to see young guys get ahead of them like that and them get cocky or whatever. But Dolph, he's always been a good guy. He's always been good energy. You know, like I've always enjoyed his company, hanging out with him, joking around with him, and I think he's a great wrestler. And so when I was in WWE, he was still like an undercard guy, and it was just like I guess before I don't know if it was after I did my returns or what, but when I saw him on TV anyway, and he was like one of the top guys, I was thinking like, wow, he really hung in there and outlasted everybody and worked his way through until, you know, he was like the last man standing. So him and Kofi was around during that time back then. I think he's still around too, but they outlasted everybody by sticking around and you know, since like I said, he was a great worker. So it's not just outlasting anybody, but it's being able to outwork everybody and staying in there for decades, and eventually you might get noticed.
Right. No, and like around the time you did return, he was like in the world title contention and stuff like that, and might have been the champion too at the time. So he was right in the thick of things. And when he got released by WWE in September, both Cena and The Rock took to social media to kind of wish him well and everything like that. And so
awesome. He's a good guy. I can't imagine too many people wouldn't like him. I don't know.
Have you seen any of his stand-up work or anything like that?
No, I haven't. I would like to.
Yeah, like him and his brother have been touring around since he got released, and so they've been doing some stuff.
Okay. Is his brother younger or older?
I believe his brother is younger. It's his younger brother.
Does he wrestle too?
Yes, he does. Nick. His name Ryan is his name, and he's actually in AEW, and actually he's in the Iron Claw. He plays Gino Hernandez in the Iron Claw. So.
He did. He wasn't one of the Spirit Squad, was he?
No, he wasn't. I think the one you're talking about that might have got a little bit of heat. I remember back in the day. I think his name was Kenny. Kenny was the one that was.
Oh, okay, yeah. And one of them was dating Tori. You know, like
that might have been him too. Now
that would be some heat right there. But yeah, maybe that was him too.
Yeah. But do you remember when Dolph too? He was the caddy for Chavo when Chavo had the Kerwin White golf gimmick.
Didn't know that.
Caddy too for him, so he's been a little bit all. Oh, here's a good question. Now he didn't pay for it, but I got to check.
Like Dolph, by the way, that's been around for like long time. and had, good moments and moments of being abused and stuff like that. Like, I just have to kind of, like, I get a feel like they just have to, like, really love the business. You know what I mean? Like someone like that sticks through it, through the thick and thin, and still is in a really good mood and seems happy to be out there doing their thing. I think of that in a complimentary way, that they must, they must really, really love the business. So it's good to have guys like that in the industry.
Well, kind of what I wanted to follow up with too with Dolph is, like, he is somebody that's gotten, like, pushed and pulled and bounced up and down the card all the time, and sometimes would be the guy that take the pinfall loss and the losing and stuff like that. Him getting out of WWE and then kind of having this reset, showing up in New Japan and stuff like that. Do you think, as a talent, I know when you're in the competitive aspect of it all, do you think that is something that somebody like that can rebound from and kind of, like, reestablish themselves and kind of move on from that, and then, kind of grow as a bigger star,
Yeah, I totally do. Absolutely. Like, obviously WWE is the big guys on top, the standard setters, the big machine that really makes everyone into superstars worldwide in 150 countries. But besides that, as your image goes a lot further than you do, and especially in a case like this. So if he's wrestling for New Japan, and he's like uses like a top draw, and he's kicking ass over there, having great matches, and people are loving him, then he not only could enjoy himself a lot more there if he wasn't getting that kind of a treatment in WWE, which I don't know. I wasn't following his programs or whatever. But if he felt like he was not used right before and then feels like he is used right, that's such a great feeling for an artist, and everybody should get a chance to feel like that, really. So I've been there like many times. But then after a while of being in that new position, then and capitalizing on that, then he could come back with more value than he had before when he left. Absolutely.
I think he could very much mirror, in certain ways, the path like Cody took, because Cody left and, like, went on the free agent, or went on the indie market where he would wrestle, like, names and stuff like that. I remember him wrestling Kurt Angle.
Great example. Yeah.
Yeah. And then coming back, like, look at, he's no longer, like, dashing Cody Rhodes or Stardust. He's right. Cody Rhodes that people associate with an AEW and stuff like that, his own identity and brand. So it's like Dolph can very much do that. And he's such a smart guy when it comes to that stuff. So.
Yeah, I think so. And in the meantime, maybe he'll enjoy wrestling in New Japan, a lot less matches, bigger paydays per show. So it's a different, it's a whole different setup that offers a lot more time off, if that's something that you're looking for, to work more or to be with family or follow hobbies, do stand up, whatever the fuck. But that's usually how it is in Japan, because you're not going to be wrestling 52 weeks a year over there like you would be in WWE. Although I do remember, like, one time, this was forever ago, like maybe I think this was WWE. Let's say around 2001, I think, maybe. But anyway, Chris Jericho was asking me about going to Japan. We both used to wrestle for Japan. I'd see him over there in Japan, but we weren't wrestling for the same company. He was wrestling for New Japan. I was wrestling for All Japan. And he was saying, Rob, you've been to Japan like at least 50 times, right? And I was like, 50 times? Like, I don't think so. No, fuck no. And he goes, really? Because, like, we've both been going, like, we started going like around the same time, I think, 93, 92, whatever it was. And he said, and I said, no. I said, but I know, like, I went and then I didn't go back for a whole year. And then I went again. And I took a whole year off. Then I went 3 times that year. And he just said, "Oh," he said, "I thought that we still like added up. Like, even though I know you guys could do tours, and he was doing. He said that he was doing at the time like one show a week and flying back and forth." Which I don't know how many people were doing that, and I don't know if New Japan was just so hot that they had weekly TV then. Well, I guess they probably still do, but I would just assume now it's probably edited from more than just one show. But I really have no idea. There's just different ways of doing things. But I remember him saying that, and he was surprised. Which at the time, I'm not sure how many times I had been to Japan, but still now I know my number's 22 or 23 times that I've been to Japan. Not 50, like he was asking me 25 years ago.
Wow, that's wild to think that too. Like 50 times. That's a lot.
Yeah. But back and forth and doing one match or going over there for 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and then coming home for maybe 2-3 weeks, and then going back again. That'd be like with All Japan, I think they had 8 tours a year if you were full time, and that was pretty rough for me being over there. I preferred the 15-day tour, which was February. That's why I didn't go back for a year and then waited another year, and because it was really rough for me. I didn't. Especially when I was really young, when I started going. I was so young, 22 years old, just turned 22.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I didn't know how to eat, and how to not spend money on the road. And in Japan, everything was so expensive. The goals for everybody was to try to not spend money, So it's like don't buy a Coke from the vending machine, or go out on the road. That this one's here's for tourists, and it was, or there's a grocery store downstairs, or we would bring stuff. For some reason, we would bring tuna fish. I have no idea why, because I'm sure we could get tuna there, but that was tuna fish and peanut butter. Just because all the other wrestlers that were older than me told me to do that, I'd bring a big bag of that, haul it around. It was a pain in the ass, but I like the matches though.
How was the paydays there in comparison to? Were they worthwhile going there, or was it more just for the experience?
No, the paydays were very much higher than in the United States. So that was a good incentive, for people to go to Japan. So if I went over there for, like I said, the 15 day tour in February, and then came home, even like what I started at when I was just 22 years old, what I started at over there, what I would have got in that 15 days might have come close to matching what I got the rest of the year, maybe.
Wow, really?
I think, close to it anyway, at least another probably 8-10 months, if not the whole year. So just because, when at that age, I didn't have, it was all the numbers were different at that age. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
My monthly bills were way different, and what I was getting paid was different. But that was one thing about Japan, and I always was told from the very start, John Baba will never screw you. He's very honest. He never screws anybody. He tells you you're going to get this much. You can be sure that's exactly what you're going to get paid. And I just remember I was always told that, and that was always true. And I always had a lot of respect for Mr. Baba, and I'm proud that I got to work for him for so many years and such a long time. He was something out of my career that I'm really proud of, and I enjoyed what he added to my value as well.
Wow, it's like I've heard that plenty of times too, how much people loved working for Baba. I know, like, Bruno went over there and Terry Funk went over there, and I think both of them were like, yeah, I wouldn't work for anybody else but Baba over there, because he was so loyal to us that we wanted to be loyal to him,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely something like that. So cool. No, it'll be interesting to see what Dolph decides to do, and he's kind of can set his own terms in a lot of ways. He's pretty well off, and it's like, he's established his name, and he's got another outlet in comedy and stuff, so if he ever just wants to do that, he can just go and do that. So
cool. I wish him the best. He's a great guy.
Yeah. Speaking of comedy, Rob, I've been wanting to ask you this, and we haven't crossed paths. Name something like your favorite comedians and stuff. Do you have certain lists that stand out to you that you really enjoy and their style of comedy?
Yes, I do. So I grew up from. I always am a fan of like dry humor, intelligent humor, over character voices, and people being dramatic, making loud noises and or faces. There's different styles, and I don't know, different people like to be entertained by someone that makes funny faces at them or whatever. But for me, I always appreciated Stephen Wright. He was like a real strong inspiration for me. I loved his material, thought he was a genius. And also Bob Newhart might have been the first one, because I used to watch the Bob Newhart show when I was a real little kid. He was so dry, so funny, I thought. And also Mitch Hedberg, as of more recent years. Like, I didn't know of Mitch Hedberg until he was already gone. And I know that I would have clicked with him. And I get compared to him sometimes to people that are at my shows whenever I hop up and tell a few jokes. But I like his sense of humor as well. And I'm leaving somebody out that's in there. But I mean, also there was a time, like when I knew every word to every one of Andrew Dice Clay's routines, for different reasons, not so much the intelligent humor, but whatever it was. Me and Dango were really into him when we were like 18, 19 or whatever. We loved saying hickory dickory dock. We loved it. Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah.
No, those are great ones. People are naming others in the super chat here: Eddie Murphy, Bill Hicks, George Carlin, of course, Sam Kinison, Daniel Tosh. I like Chappelle a lot. I like Bill Burr. There's a lot of great. Patrice O'Neill was always great too. Yeah, there's some really good ones.
I like Alonzo Thomas. No, Alonzo Bowden. I'm sorry.
Alonzo Bowden. Okay.
Yeah. I like a lot of them. But as inspiration, I think like Stephen Wright I just thought, like, how can you think of that stuff? Like, if I melt dry ice, can I swim without getting wet? Like, that's fucking. But so a lot of I like that kind of stuff, even though half the crowd is going to be confused by it. It's more about the art than it is about just connecting with the crowd. In a case like him, and I feel like that too. Like I write stuff that I know is funny to me, even if like some of the people be like, "Oh, that's too smart. I don't want to think. Can you do a cartoon voice like Fluffy?"
Be like Fluffy.
It's like, but yeah, fucking. What do you say? Bought used paint one time. It was in the shape of a house. Love it. We bought evaporated water, but didn't know what to add. Some of those shit, like, I'll never forget those. You know what I mean?
What'd you think of Norm Macdonald?
What's that?
What'd you think of Norm Macdonald?
Oh, I like him. I like him. He's like, usually when I think of Norm, I can't tell if he's serious or not. Almost like the Andy Kaufman in that way. Like, he's so committed, and sometimes his jokes will be so bad, right?
Right.
And he's like, does he really think that's funny? Or is the joke on us because he's playing a joke on us by pretending that he's standing behind that material? Sometimes he does say it like that, and I don't get it.
Or he did the one thing too. He was roasting somebody. I think it was like a comedian or something. And everybody's like, it was like a Comedy Central roast. And so when he goes up there, all he tells are like these stupid, punny, like lighthearted jokes that are like what you would tell it like to school kids, basically.
Right.
That was his whole bit for the roast.
Yeah. Andy Kaufman, like, isn't he?
Kinda. Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody does want to see any of my shit, like the last several times, I haven't gone up in a while, and haven't had the mindset to. I like the idea of it, but I gotta but I gotta get in the frame of mind if I can even want to do that. But anyway, the last several times I've gone up on stage, I write a whole new set each time, and then might bring an old one or two back if I thought of a way to tweak it or work it in differently or whatever. But that's, for me, like, I got to where that's what I would enjoy out of it, as opposed to somebody that just has, a routine and they go on the road and they're just doing their thing. That's an awesome job, being a performer, just like if you were a singer singing the same songs every night or whatever. But for me, I'm not a true comic in that sense, to where that's not something that I enjoy as much as like kind of moving on sometimes. But anyway, what I was going to say, on my YouTube page, there's a playlist for my comedy, and you can see the last 5 or 6, 7 sets or whatever that are on there, because I did it. I posted that shit up there.
Boom. Rob, how long are your sets, or what's the longest kind of set that you have done?
The longest one, I think, was an hour or an hour in 10 minutes or something like that. Yeah, that was the first time that I went on tour and Tom, what's Tom's last name? He's a really funny dude, and Headstrong is basically about the tour he brought me on. But I don't think it was this. He brought me on one before. I don't know. I've done a couple tours, 2, 3, maybe 4. I don't know. I don't think I've done 4. I don't know. But anyway, Tom books him. He drives me around, and he's the guy. And the first time he kind of let me go out there and just to see, I guess, how much I had or how long I would go or whatever. And it ended up being like I said, I think it was like an hour, and it was either an hour and 15 or hour and 10, but somewhere in there. And then the goal was to hit like, I think 45 or 55. So after I did that the first night, then it was a lot easier. I was more confident because I knew I had enough, if I forgot anything, I could reach, and there was enough shit up there in my head. So, but so, a lot of times, if I call a comedy guy, my friend, and I say, dude, I want him to jump up there this week, if he says, can you do 8 minutes on Thursday? Like, man, 8 minutes goes by so quick. It's like so quick.
Does it? It feels like that?
Yeah, it does.
I would feel like it would take, to me, that would feel like it would be like an eternity.
Well, it would have when I started back in 2016 or whenever, 2006. You know what I mean?
Now it would be just like,
yeah. Now I'm like, fuck already. Like, I only got my 3 favorite jokes, and I didn't get to. Yeah. So I used to just run the light anyway, and I'd be like, fuck it. What are they gonna do? And they give me the flashlight that tells me, whatever cushion I told them to give me at the end, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever. A lot of times I would just fucking run it and not worry about it and keep going, but. At least 10, 12 minutes, 15 minutes is cool. If I'm advertised on it, then maybe, 20 or 30. But a lot of times I like to just jump up when I'm not advertised, and then I get a crowd that's not just there to, see the Rolling Thunder.
Yeah.
They're surprised because they're in my intro, Hall of Fame, former WWE champion Rob. They're like, oh my God, yeah, wow, it's him. And then they go home very happy that I made them laugh and that I was funny, and they had no idea.
Surprise.
They had no idea. And then we take pictures afterwards.
How about that? Now, have you gotten heckled while you're on stage?
No. I can't think of one. It almost seemed like there was like one time, but I don't think there was. Yeah, it's I have like on the tours that Tom brought me in, some of the places that I don't want to do anymore would be like bars that were even like still like the bar's still going and people are still talking to each other and shit, and you're just over in a corner. trying to keep these people's attention. But sometimes it's like that and it's bad. And I mean, I remember the tour I have done something like that where I was like, where I stopped as if they were heckling me, but they weren't. They were just talking kind of loud. And I was just like, all right, dude, I'm gonna wait till you're done, man. You are the whole fucking show. Everyone is here to hear you talk. So, whenever you're done, whatever. But usually everyone, I talk really slow, probably much like I do in my RVDology, but even slower, and it kind of draws everybody in that's paying attention, and they got to pay attention to get my jokes because, like I said, I'm not jumping all over the place.
Yeah. Definitely check him out on YouTube, guys, if you get to see him and stuff. Did you ever feel like you bombed?
I don't think I've ever felt like I had like the closest it was that I can remember that felt like that was it was a Hood Slam event in San Francisco, and the little Ronald McDonald dude, Mikey, the wrestler / comedian, he had booked me to do like I think a few locations, maybe a 3-day thing or something. And one of them was at the Hood Slam thing, and it was just a horrible place to do stand-up, and especially me. Maybe if it was someone screaming and jumping and dancing, maybe it would have worked. I don't know, but Hood Slam was famous for crossing lines at that time and being like extra bold, and the referee would smoke joints while he's in the ring during the match, and I think girls would show their tits. So it was like something that was like a real extreme thing, and they thought it'd be a good idea to have me go in the ring, I think to open it or something. So they want me to do like 20 minutes or something. I'm in the ring and nobody can hear me. I can't even hear me. The sound system's so shitty. And so with my mundane, facial features and stuff, I'm just talking like, so, I always blah, 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 and blah. And that's the closest that I think, just because the whole thing didn't work at all. But it's not like people turned on me and were booing or you suck or anything, that I can remember. It was just like, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go over my set or my jokes in my head and practice getting it down and working on my material. And so that's what I did for a few minutes until Mikey called it off and said, all right, let's go ahead and start with the wrestling. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a good way to do it though. It's just be like, it's kind of like batting practice, and I'm just getting a few swings in. That's it.
Especially starting out some really crappy places sometimes, where it's not even made for that, and people can't hear you, and they don't even. Anyway, that's part of it, and I was doing some of those kind of venues as early as a couple of years ago, but now I'm like, nah, if it's a comedy club, then I'm in. Then they're there to see comedy, not to drink at the bar, and I'm interrupting them,
Right. Right. No, the reason I brought up comedy too was I just watched the Cat Williams interview with Shannon Sharp, and it's like a 2.5-hour interview, and it's so fucking fascinating, like the career that guy has had and what he was talking about, and like his brand of comedy is just hilarious too. Just him and his dialogue with Shannon Sharp is really good. I'll have to send it to you though, because it's.
Does he call Chris Rock out or say something on it?
Yeah, he calls out he calls out Kevin Hart, he calls out Steve.
Yeah,
Hart,
that's good.
Yeah, and then Chris Tucker he calls out too. So it's very entertaining and interesting. So it's definitely worth a listen, guys. I recommend that too. So.
The thing about doing stand-up is like I enjoy sometimes going up there and doing that. I enjoy the creation process of visualizing and putting the material together and then going out there and delivering and then getting the instant feedback, gratification of having what played out in my mind play out. But I'm not looking to do anything with it. And that confuses people because people think, why would you do something if you're not looking to do something? So like people will be commenting on this, and like, brother, I can get you hooked up with a manager that can book you, or it's like, I don't want to go around the road and travel and do that. It won't it's not. I'm not at Fluffy's level. If I was getting his paydays, then maybe it would be, then maybe it would be worth it. But I'm definitely not at that position in the comedy business. Not looking to be. It's just something I enjoy doing sometimes.
I mean, maybe we can get you a Netflix special though.
Yeah.
I hear they pay out big. So,
well, I would actually like to record a special sometime, and we've been talking about that for years. And I must have hours worth of material since I write new shit all the time and change it out and stuff. So much that if I watch something old, I hate to hear those jokes.
Yeah, I could imagine some of that being like, it's kind of I cringe a little bit for some of that.
For 95% of it,
it could be tough. It'd be tough to watch yourself back sometimes with that stuff. We've got 124 people in here. So guys, if you like what you're hearing, be sure to like, be sure to comment. That always helps boost up the algorithm that YouTube presents to us. But yeah, if you want to get a super chat in before we wrap it up here, which is going to be pretty soon, you do that. Chime in with a super chat. We'll be happy to answer them. I'll close it out with one of these, Rob, before we do wrap it up here. Obviously, this past Monday, The Rock showed up on Raw and talked about Roman Reigns, but confronted Jinder Mahal, and pretty comedic kind of standpoint. And then they took an America stand on it too, like Jinder Mahal did the anti-American kind of thing, like you American citizens, blah, 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 and all that. And then The Rock fired back and all that stuff. Just from a promo standpoint overall, how would you kind of rank The Rock as an all-timer?
Is it I guess as far as people getting behind him and shit, I'd put him at the top, Mm-hmm. I think him and Steve Austin, like, people get so excited to jump in on the repeated dialogue, the high spots that they know, that like when they know he's going to say, smell what the Rock is cooking or whatever it is, they're ready to say his expressions with him. Very much like Stone Cold, I think. And so I would put both of those guys at the top. And by the way, they had a baby named Ken Anderson. So, there's that too.
Yeah.
I just always thought that Ken Anderson sounded like he was very much inspired by The Rock and Steve Austin when he did his promos.
Yeah. Well, LA Knight's getting that nowadays too. LA Knight is the guy that they're really
right. Yeah, I think that's what Nash. I think I saw Nash saying that.
Yeah, Nash was talking about that. So from a booking standpoint, when it comes to WWE and like it's Roman Reigns and The Rock, people were talking about it, and Rock teased it, coming up, like he wants to sit at the head of the table, quote unquote. And so everybody's like, wow, this match is going to happen. But there's that aspect of like Cody Rhodes has been in the prime position of like, hey, he's got to finish his story, and we're going into Roman Reigns, and everybody was expecting Cody to kind of face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. If you're on such a big platform, you have two major names such as The Rock and Roman Reigns, but you have this intriguing story of Cody going on. From a business standpoint, does it just make more sense to go with The Rock and Roman at WrestleMania and then like table the Cody story and finish it off in a certain way? Or how would your mindset be coming from that?
Well, I don't know what all the factors are going into it, but just from what you laid out there, I would think exactly. I mean, the bloodline is or has taken over, and The Rock's coming to support that. That's why he's coming back. He's not coming back because he misses wrestling. He's not coming back because he needs to get in the ring again real bad. Making all that money, doing movies is wearing him out, and he needs to get in the ring and bang his elbows and knees or anything like that. He's coming to support his family and to pay it forward with the bloodline by drawing attention and money and everything that comes with that as far as climbing the ladder of hierarchy in the industry for Roman Reigns, because they're cousins. That's exactly why he's coming back.
Yeah, no, it's true too. He's like very much into growing that and making the, you'll see the Usos making their own like star power kind of name, and now Roman. It's just, yeah, it makes sense to tie it all together. And people have been talking about this kind of match for years. So, I mean, I think there's certain ways you can pay off Cody later on too, if you need to. I wanted to include this one. Lelena mentioned about Mitch Hedberg. Dogs are forever in the push-up position, said Mitch Hedberg once. So that's pretty cool.
That is true.
Yeah, now I'm not going to be able to unsee that moving forward.
Because when I would drive, a lot of times Petrie would be wanting to look out the window, and so her front paws would be straight out so she could see out the window, but she would kind of be like sitting like across, like on my lap or on my chest or something that high. And I always said she was holding a plank, and she was. If I didn't scoop under and support her, she would be holding a plank, and eventually she would start to give and come down. So I put my hand under her chest and support her so she could go out the window.
Multitasking while driving. There you go. Yeah. Well, cool guys. I think that just about does it here, Rob. I wanted to cover some current topics a little bit, and I'll close it out with this here real quick. Somebody mentioned this earlier on, being sick, like not injured but sick while wrestling. Do you consider that kind of worse sometimes than working through injuries, since you're so used to working through injuries? When you say you get like the flu and you have to go through a match, is that more treacherous sometimes than actually working through an injury?
I would rather, fuck. Yeah, I mean, it can be. I mean, if I got to choose from a list of injuries, all of them pretty substantial, but different parts of my body that I know I could work around or whatever. If it was given the choice, a lot of times I would rather have an injury than like, say, be hungover and feel like I'm going to puke any second. That's not a good feeling. And I've been there a couple times, and it was really bad, like major headache. It was from being hungover, drinking too much, and during that fun part of my life. But I wrestled Teddy Hart.
Really?
And I know I disappointed him because I know that was one of his dream matches. And he had told me so years ago when he met me, but he was really looking forward to working me. But also I was at a point in my career where I wasn't looking to steal the show by doing a moonsault from the top rope through 3 tables on the floor. You know what I mean? Like that was like, I feel like he was more representative of the new style now where hey, give me a Canadian Destroyer from the bleachers and it'll get a bigger pop, and I can't even tell who's taking that, who's giving that move when I see it, but that's just me. I know the move is over, but that move represents the whole new age for me, and Teddy does too. And anyway, we had our match in Rahway, and I just know that I was so hungover too, and did the best I could to get through it. But I remember afterwards, asking him, I know you really look forward to working with me and stuff. But again, he would have wanted to go out and do every single spot, and I was way past that point in my career anyway.
Sure,
Same with AJ Styles when I worked with AJ. If I would have been, if it would have been earlier in my career when I was still trying to make a name for myself, then I would have pushed the envelope more with the matches with him too. But if he wants to do a springboard gainer flip from the top rope to the floor, then go ahead. I'm not feeling the need to outdo that with something of a similar thrill. But anyway, I remember talking to Teddy afterwards and being like, "Yeah, right. Did you like it? I know that you wanted to work a lot. I probably not what you thought it'd be, whatever." And he was just like, "As long as you're happy with it." As long as you're happy with it, I'm happy. I was like, oh man, and there was another match with Jake or Jack Haggart.
Oh, okay, Jake Hager, yeah.
Jack Hager or Jack Swagger. Yeah, either way. But I feel like that was in Raw weight too. But I could have that mixed up. But it seems like both of those. It seems like I was like on the sick side during the match, not feeling good. And besides that, it almost never happens. Like usually, no matter how I'm feeling, by the time I get ready to go out there, everything seems to go away. Boom. Just like Dory Funk told me it would years ago when I was really young in Japan and hungover from all the boys making me drink, all night and shit. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember talking to Dory. He said, I don't know how I'm going to go out there. And he said, yeah, I feel like usually by the time it's showtime and ready for your match, like I feel like everything pretty much comes together and it always works out. And I was, damn, man, he was right, for the most part. Not 100% of the time for me, but for the most part.
Wow. Yeah, that's the thing too, is like, I mean, I've been hungover several times and just doing a regular like fucking desk job and not being able to function. So it's just like, if you're getting physical and stuff like that, I would definitely think I'd be like, but yeah, maybe it's just your brain just kind of adjusts and make those kind of things for it. It's just
but as far as like having the flu, a cold, this was before COVID, you just weren't allowed. That was not allowed.
Okay, so if you were like sick like that, they would just take you off the card or something. Is that
no? You wouldn't even tell anybody, or you would just try and take some decongestant. And man, it sucks going out in the ring when you can't even breathe through your nose, and you're already like the cold medicine's making your heart flutter or whatever. But it's like, dude, it's not a regular job. It's not the kind of job you call in sick for. Like the reason that you're there tonight is because you were on the poster, on the radio. People bought tickets to come tonight to see you. They've been looking forward to it for the last 3-4 weeks at least. You can't just say, oh, I got the sniffles.
Right, yeah, I got some.
It's not that kind of industry. It's not.
No, it's like, yeah, you just got to power through it, man. That's the thing too. I mean, you look at it nowadays with the NBA. They used to they always talk about the Michael Jordan flu game when he played in the flu game. But like nowadays, they do that load management where they can pick days off. And I would just be thinking as a fan, I go buy a ticket to see LeBron James play, and then he just doesn't play that day because he's doesn't feel like it, or maybe he's sick. It's just like, come on. They've been waiting months for that. Like they pay money to go see it.
Right. Sometimes I can remember a wrestler in the dressing room earlier in the day saying, hey, I just want to tell you, I have a cold, so I'm going to try not to breathe on you, just a heads up or whatever. And it's like, okay, cool. And that could be a guy that I'm in the ring on top of later on during the match. But just as a courtesy thing, sometimes you give a heads up, but it's never like, take it easy, I got a headache.
Yeah, right. It's something like that. I can't show up. When you said it, when I misunderstood you, I was like, oh, wow, they just took you off the card because you were sick or had the cold. I was like, that doesn't. I
remember when I called in because I had a broken toe in Tampa, Florida, and man, I got chewed out so hard. I learned a lesson. That night. They couldn't believe I called in for a broken toe, and I wrestled barefoot.
Yeah, that's right. We got a couple super chats in here. This is a good one. Gem the Dawn, $5. Thank you. He said, bro, thanks for the talk on mental health the other week. You inspired me to reach out and inspired me to get a little help while I'm going through a little rut. So,
awesome. That's fucking great, man. I love hearing those, hearing that makes me feel like I got a purpose for what we're doing here. Thanks for validating us, Gem the Dawn.
Yes, thank you, And that's the thing too. Keep at it, man. Like sometimes that therapist will be, if you're seeing a therapist, sometimes they'll be the right fit for you. Sometimes they won't, but like just ride it through and keep at it because it does take some time. Like no matter what.
Yeah. So yeah, when before I got on medication in 2016, when I was like going through a pretty bad bout of depression, divorce, dad died, dog died, big lonely house all by myself, and I was feeling down. One of my friends that I talked to at that time was like, don't let them put meds in you. And he said his sister took Prozac and killed herself. And he said that she never was suicidal until she started taking the Prozac and drinking. And Prozac is known for being something you don't drink on. With the Wellbutrin and the Lexapro, I specifically asked the doctor, now, is this something I know I've heard you're not supposed to drink on antidepressants? And he said, you should be fine. So it depends on exactly like which. I mean, he asked how much I drink, and said you should be fine. Normal amount. Like I'm on that. Like so, they're all different. They're all different, and so a lot of people will tell me that they tried something and it just didn't work for them. But that's kind of like saying you tried candy and so it didn't work for you. There's like so many different kinds, so many different strengths, so many different ingestion schedules that might time up perfect with your brain chemistry, which could be something that's temporary. It could be something that's more long-term. Either way, it could be helpful for you if you get just the right thing that your brain needs. And it could take a little work. You could be trying the wrong stuff, the wrong strength, or taking it too often or not enough. But they call it experience because it takes a bit, the more experience, the better. And, we get experience in life from two ways. We get experience firsthand from experiencing it. And also we can learn from other people's experience. But with something like this, just because someone else says it's not a good idea, take that into consideration, but don't let that be the only fact you consider, because it really might be a good idea and it might not be a good idea for them.
Right. Yeah. It really depends on the person and their circumstances too. They had a bad experience, obviously, and somebody else had a good experience and things like that, where it's like, and you said this too when you were doing the RVDology the other week, was like, you kind of mentioned that it takes a couple weeks for the meds to actually kind of work and get in your system, get in your blood. And so that's something you have to kind of be cognizant too. If you're relatively new to meds, and be like, all right, I'm not feeling anything. Well, it takes a little bit of time to kind of accustom, and then your body gets used to it once you start taking it more on that. And then even after that, they usually start you on a small dosage, so you might not necessarily feel anything. So when you follow up, you can get the dosage upped or adjusted to how you need it. So
it's not something that you just take one time and then you get high or right, stoned or numb or anything off of it. It's something that takes a couple of weeks of dosing to build up a level in your system to where it's effective. And so it's really important to get a good doctor. And that's something too. Unfortunately, you might even have a doctor that's not the best doctor, that doesn't give you the best advice. And of course, going to a second doctor is a really big step. Like out of most people that will go and take the step to actually talk to somebody, once they do that, a lot of them aren't going to go ahead and say, well, I'm going to go ahead and go through all that again and find somebody completely different just to see if what I heard first, I'm good. They told me this. And I get that. It's always easier to do nothing. But man, sometimes it's worth it, because I guess it's I think it's the psychologist that talks to you and the psychiatrist that prescribes the drugs. I could have that backwards.
I think it's backwards.
Yeah, but I've had the person you talk to, the psychiatrist, I've had one that was really good, and I've had one that was useless.
Unfortunately,
yeah, but same thing with chiropractors. I've had some that were amazing. They could feel my body and tell me where I'm hurting, and then there's other ones, where they're really not doing anything for me, and a lot of the people that they see, they either do nothing for them, or sometimes people get hurt going to the chiropractor, and then they're never going to be down for trying it again. But in fact, there are some good ones, just like everything. I feel it's definitely the same way with the meds and with the people behind them that prescribe the meds and talk to you. All of it.
It is. And yeah, guys, always remain feel free to chime in with that kind of stuff. It's always good to hear, and give us updates if you need updates or support. It's a good system we have here. We already have a pretty good community growing in the chats. It seems some regulars are showing up, and everybody's very supportive, it seems, of one another. So Rob's got great insight on this stuff. So
I think mental health is something, I'll try to make an effort to talk a lot about more because it's something that's such an internal experience that it's hard to imagine that other people have it too because it's so inside you. But in fact, we all have these internal thoughts, whether they're unnecessary nervousness about how people are going to perceive us in any circumstance, whether you're going on a date or maybe you're going to a meeting, maybe you're going to meet some people, family of so whatever, there's a lot of times where no matter who you are inside, sometimes you ask yourself some questions, about, is this the right thing to say? Is this the right thing to do? The right thing to wear? The right thing to whatever? All of that, I think, if you know that all of us, have at least questions in mind, and you can realize that's part of just being human, then I think you can see that that's all a path to greater discomfort within one's own secure choices, which eventually can lead to mental health. So it's something that we're all connected to, even though you don't see it. None of us have the manual of life and just go through changing the book like, did that right, did that right. Hell yeah, I know that, I know I'm betting on the right numbers on the lottery tomorrow. Nobody does that for sure. So again, it's experience, and we're all experiencing life. So sometimes you need a little hand. I'm glad that talking about that can help people reach out and get a hand when they need it, because fucking A, man, there's no reason not to.
Absolutely not. And guys, yeah, you can check that RVDology out specifically too. We have it clipped up on Rob's YouTube, so check it out. It's up at rvdpod.com there, and we have the full video there. It's really, really good. I think it was our best episode we did, actually. That was a great reason for it too. Couple super chats here. Smiley chimed in. Have you ever been on Sabu's podcast or on his Twitch?
No, I didn't actually realize that he was doing that. I remember a few months ago hearing a title that implied Sabu was doing a show. Sabu Speaks, I think it was. I saw something about that, but I think I texted him and said, "You have a podcast?" And I think he just said LOL or something. And I don't think we talked about it again. So until now, I didn't realize that he is actually doing that. But I am planning on getting together with him to talk about another project with Joe Clark, who was on last week's episode, hopefully tomorrow. So I'm going to ask him about that.
Nice. Yeah, Sabu Speaks is actually on the Premier Stream Network, too.
Hey, is it like a weekly, regular show?
I don't know if it's weekly or if it's like bi-weekly or something, but he does it pretty consistently, I would say.
Does somebody interview him? He's got a host, obviously, right?
He's got like a co-host, yeah. Or maybe he just does it solo. Like, I don't know if he does or what. But yeah, he makes the announcement.
I guarantee Sabu doesn't know how to hit record.
Okay. You would know more.
I'm gonna look it up though, and then I'll have him on our show too.
Yeah, we'll do a little crossover. One last super chat here.
My brother
Sabu. Man, I think it's fascinating. That's one of my favorite aspects so far of us doing this show, was learning about your friendship with Sabu, but in turn your mentorship from the Sheik and stuff like that. I think it's such a cool aspect of this show. So. All right. Orlando Herrera, $5. They should put double thumbs just for you, like Rob, just for the likes, RVD. Yeah, you did. I've seen you on your social media. You do the thumbs down, thumbs up, and that's kind of like your indication of that. But yeah, that'd be.
No, I get it. I get it exactly though, because I do this. It's sideways.
Yeah.
It's this.
Yeah, and you have the smiley face in between. Yeah.
Sometimes the sideways. Oh yeah, my head won't turn sideways, so it's this.
Yeah. Right.
Oh.
Need a chiropractor after that one.
Yeah, that was when I remember, like when I was talking about doing a Twitch show before this. You did like at least a year ago, longer. Somebody made a channel actually for me and Katie, and started making graphics, and then I just never understood it enough to pull the trigger on it or whatever. But from what I understood, if you have a membership with Amazon Prime, you could pick a subscription or two, and then so we would aim for them. I don't, because then I guess it's covered with their Amazon subscription. So I thought, but anyway, one of the benefits also that I was told was that they would make emojis for me, or I make my own.
Yeah, I think they do that.
Yeah, somehow. Yeah, I don't know if they make it or who makes it, but that was part of the deal, was that you would have your own emojis. And I never understood that either. Like where are they used? Only on my page? Or can people use my emojis like on other pages?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I know like Colt Cabana does his stuff on there, and he's had his own. I think it's maybe specific to the channel, if I had to.
Yeah, maybe I'll revisit that idea. Like I said, I got a lot of stuff that was set up for it, and then that was right when I started doing RVDology, because that was one of the ideas originally, was I would do it live on Twitch, and then I just started learning to use that, not Stream Deck, OBS.
Yeah, OBS. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's what a lot of people might use too for that platform. But yeah, hey, I don't know. Maybe we can stream live on Twitch on here too. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But pretty cool. It's pretty sweet. Sure. All right. Cool, Rob, is there anything else you want to cover? We kind of did an unofficial RVDology right there, I would think. Right?
I think we covered the vibe enough. Let's mix it up, keep the people guessing so they don't get too used to a pattern or anything, and see if they notice.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. The takeaway, I think, is, and if you don't agree, then let me know, because I've already said this several times. I'm about to say it the third time. You get experience two ways: firsthand, through your own experience. Sometimes that's the way to do it. And then sometimes it's through someone else's experience. And you don't have to experience it then. If you see somebody touch the stove and it burns their hand, well, you don't have to go now and touch the stove. You've learned from watching and from someone else's experience. Pretty much everything in life, I believe, you can put into that same formula or sentence or that guideline of you learn from experience, and that's the best way. So some things, think about it. If you need to experience it yourself, then you weigh out the odds. You're making that choice. It's going to get through to some of these people. I know it is. Some of the conflicts that are on your mind right now. Do you need to experience this yourself? Or can you just learn from other people's experiences, and that's going to be enough? Because I'm telling you that it's always going to be one or the other. And I think that being cognizant of that, having that perspective, is a great way to get your dose of RVDology this week, and also be aware of the decisions that you make. It could be something pretty heavy. It could be sexual. It could be like drug usage. It could be something criminal. It could be something. It could be just going to a movie. Just because someone said this movie's really great, do you have to go and see it now? Fuck it, I don't. I'll take your word for it. Anyway. You apply where you can, and that's going to be what I hope everyone takes away. That and anything else you want to take away. You feel free to take whatever you want, but don't be robbing shit.
Yeah, don't be robbing. Don't be robbing nothing. But you guys want to do something.
Don't take shit away. What's that?
If they want to do something, I want to make a pledge for people to or I guess a pitch for people to go to your podcast, whatever podcast you listen to, whether it's on Spotify or Apple or whatever, and give us a 5-star review. And if you write us a good up review and stuff like that, we'll pop it up here on the podcast and give it a read and stuff like that. We'll read. Maybe that's what I'll start doing, is curating some of those and giving the review reads on here. So, yes.
Let me just add to that. Sometimes experiencing firsthand is definitely the right way to do things, by the way, because sometimes that's going to be the only truthful experience that you have. And I find a lot of things that I was taught are one way. Turns out, in fact, they really are not. And I'm glad that I made the choice to not just believe what everybody else said on those. So, I'm not leaning one way or the other on that. I'm just saying, use your best decision-making skills, and if you think you need to experience it, or maybe you don't even have a choice, but think of it, a lot of stuff that you learn, if you can learn from other people's experiences and incorporate all of it together, dude, think how much you can learn.
What amalgamation. Yeah, learning from your own firsthand experience is great. Like, it does really can be beneficial and stuff like that. But
if you want to,
you're cognizant of it too, and you're be like, hey, I saw that person do this, and that's probably not the best case, the route to take on there. You're kind of almost learning from your own experience because you're seeing that person and learning from it too. So kind of balances out in a way.
Or if it's things that you're just not really that into, you know what I mean? If people want to talk to me about how much fun Biker Week is at Daytona. Cool, bro. I'm good. That's exactly. I'm gonna go by with your experience. It sounds like it was really fun, and whatever you said, it sounds loud. I don't want to go experience that.
Have you ever experienced a Biker Week, Rob, like that? Like being in the same town at the same time?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, man.
But I'm not sure, because there's a show, Nasty Ronnie, and I'm on the video, but I don't know if it's Biker Week or leading up to Biker Week. So I guess this just like, how did this just get sent to me recently? Oh, I know, my friend in Amsterdam sent it. Yeah, I guess one time I was there when it was, I don't think it was actually the Biker Week, but I think it was coming or something, and there was a lot of bikers around. But yeah, it's but I don't know, I didn't want to say whatever, like if you want to talk about gay anal sex, I don't need to experience that firsthand. I'll take your word for it, your experience.
Right. Doesn't mean you got to dabble.
This show's going to get a rep for being homophobic.
Oh, I know, right? It's like what she said. You attended the gay parade last week or a couple weeks ago, so we got it all.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, but when it comes to marijuana, it's a lot. It's anything, just anything. Just shut me up. Let's end it.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. We'll end it with this one. Somebody chimed in with a super chat here. Said Justin and Jen play slots. Hey Rob, just want to you are my favorite wrestler of all time.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin and Jen play slots.
Yes.
Appreciate that, dude.
All right, guys.
Yeah, and do that, Justin and Jen.
Do that. Yeah, I think that works.
Possibly, man. Appreciate that, yo. Yeah. So we're just about to end this one and call it a night and call it a week.
That's right. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We had Max, we had like 120 something people in here tuning in at the same time. So thanks for everybody joining us. It's fun. I love doing the live format. And guys, you know what? We'll probably see you here next week on One of a Kind with RVD.
Enjoyed spending my Thursday evening with you.
Yes, always.
Cool.